Hey, Void. How you doing? So, I'm reviewing another one from a Shutter Trek that I'm trying to remember as much as I can about. It's one of those that had never seen before, saw once, and it's taken me a little bit to recall the details for because it didn't really stick with me too much. And that's kind of a shame because conceptually, this movie should have worked. But mm, well, and that is the 1996 werewolf film Bad Moon. So, what we get is a pretty typical werewolf film. So, we got Uncle Ted, who will be our werewolf for the evening. He was out in the jungles, Venezuela, I think. I could be wrong. Anyway, he gets bitten by a werewolf. And from there, he tries to get his life back together by living out on his own. Realizes people are starting to go missing around me, so he does what anyone would do and move closer to his family. He's got the idea that perhaps the support of his family, he can begin controlling this, and it does not go well. The family dog is one of the few things that seems to be warding him off. A big old dog named Thor. Now, and it's pretty much him battling with himself of whether what he should do, about putting his family in danger versus trying to save himself. So a lot of this is pretty stock werewolf film. The effects are okay, but if I recall, the transformation sequence wasn't that great. The werewolf themselves looked good, but the actual transformation was a little lacking, if I recall. I'm trying to see if I can find a reference to that, just because it has been months since I've seen this, but I'm not seeing that. This one did take a few cues out of American Werewolf in London. I think it tried to do that, but it didn't do that nearly as well in terms of the design and transformation. Not too much some weird CG use, I think. Anyway, now, and that's all fine. The movie is pretty bloody, so the gore effects are actually above average. What losses me on this one is its loss of potential. And, like, watching it, I thought the film was fine. Reading more information about it made me a little annoyed. Because the book this was based on was a book called Thor, which is the name of the dog. Because the book had a much more interesting premise as something that's not typically done. Now, that is pretty much the same kind of film, but from the dog's perspective. Now that would be difficult to film, but it would be infinitely more interesting than what we got. Because the book, has to deal with a lot of what the dog is thinking about this. How he knows this human, but now this human smells like a predator. So he's trying to figure out how this fits in. Because he wants to protect his pack, and Uncle Ted's part of the pack, but now Uncle Ted is threatening the pack, and the dog is torn. That sounds a lot more interesting to see, like, how the dog is reacting to the werewolf movie, rather than just stock werewolf film. And, like, the acting itself is fine for the most part, but it just seemed to lack a little something. Everyone just felt like they were going through the motions. Like, no one was thrilled about this movie. Our werewolf in particular, he wasn't doing a bad job, but I don't know. Like I said, gore effects were great. The storyline, it's serviceable for a werewolf film. But what we would lose out on is we could have had something more unique. I don't know how they would have properly done that, admittedly. Having an internal monologue on a dog would have come across as silly, sure. But if you do it from the beginning and do it right, it could maybe pull this off. Or just maybe up the focus on the dog a little bit more. I mean, there was a decent amount of dog in the movie, but it just felt like it should have been a bit more. I do like the way when people start going missing, the mother, it's a mother and her son, and then the uncle who's who's living on a trailer on their land, he's the werewolf. I do like kind of the dynamic, especially when she thinks, like, is he killing people? Has he become a murderer? It starts trying to figure out things of whether or not he's gone crazy or not, because people are going missing, and there seem to be a lot of people going missing where he just was. She thought he was coming back down here because there's an animal attacks, but now those attacks have stopped, but people around here are going missing. I do like how that's kind of playing out. So, this movie wasn't bad by any means. It could have been more. So, it gets a 5 MacGuffins from me. It's fine, it's passable, it's serviceable. It's just nothing amazing. Alright. Pretty much all I really have to say on Bad Moon. It's worth a watch, but just don't expect anything different. Have a good night, movie.